3 weeks earlier, my friend sent me this Mac Studio. Although it is an M1 Max, I'm still very interested in its performance, as the Studio has a huge heatsink that should control the temperature better than the MacBook Pro. After I received it, the first thing I noticed is that the box is huge, but the machine itself is very small. The overall appearance of the machine continues the consistent design of the Mac Mini, square with a little rounded. The low-profile design is so low that it bends perfectly on almost any table. It has the same length and width as the Mac Mini, but it is nearly 3 times higher. And they finally add more ports. In the back, 4 Thunderbolt 4, 2 USB-A, a 10GB Ethernet port, a headphone jack, and an HDMI 2.0, not 2.1 for some reason, so you cannot run 4K 120Hz or 8K 60Hz if you are using the HDMI port. Front I/O, 2 normal USB-C at 10GB per second. If it is an M1 Ultra, these 2 are Thunderbolt 4. Another one is the SD card slot. Talking about upgradability to Apple? Are you crazy? Indeed, unlike the previous Intel Mac Mini, Apple does not expect users to open the Studio, so theoretically there should be no upgradability at all, right? Surprisingly, the SSD is not soldered into the board. It can be removed like a regular SSD. It even has another empty slot. However, it seems that you won't be able to boot up if you try to insert a new SSD, pull out the original one and insert it into the empty slot, or even swap the SSDs between 2 Studios. First, let's take a look at the Cinebench, but the score cannot say anything, so we jump to Blender. This time I will use 2 of my desktop PC for comparison, and the data from Linus Tech tips. I will put the video link in the description. First is the BMW. Surprisingly, my Studio is the slowest of the 4. I'm thinking that maybe this project is too short, so let's run a bigger project. Gooseberry. Now we're getting something. Even comparing to the same M1 Max in the MacBook Pro, Studio's render time is significantly shorter. This means that the Studio's M1 Max crashes the RTX, right? That's what I thought, until I switched the render method from CUDA to optics. 2 minutes. Maybe I underestimate the efficiency of optics, but here is what I got. Anyway, with 3D modeling out of the way, let's get back to what Mac is really good at: video editing. As I'm not a video editor, I will just run a quick test. I light up the video and see the maximum number of video that can be played before the frame drops. For 4K 60fps video, you can pile up to 12 before frame drops. Since Premiere, it seems that, does not have the frame drop and pause option, I didn't test it on the PC, but I'm certain that it cannot reach that number. When it comes to performance, how can we not talk about games, even though games have never been a focus of macOS? This time, I will use CSGO and Minecraft as the test games. Under these settings, the normal frame rate is 90 to 100 FPS and drops to about 60 when encounter map loading. By the way, if you are using the M1 Java version, it seems that you can reach a better performance, but I don't have the time to test it out. Sorry about that. But CSGO is not that great. Sometimes at 100, sometimes at 70, and in some specific location it drops to 50. So you have to experience a lot of frame rate fluctuation if you want to rush B. Although the performance is uneven, thanks to the ARM architecture and a variety of wonderful optimization, power consumption, and the temperature control is very good. In the case of Vido, the whole machine is at 6 watt. Yes, 6 watt. Other than that, in daily usage, it sits between 15 to 75 watt. Compared to my Ryzen, 20 watts for just a CPU. It does save a lot of energy. So now, it is easy to see that Studio is actually built for studios, especially video editing studios. Many people buy a MacBook Pro and hook up a monitor, and Apple is targeting this market. The Studio is cheaper than a MacBook Pro in the same spec, so if the location of your computer is relatively fixed, Studio is a good choice because of the better cooling and better performance. Of course, if you want to carry it around, the size and the weight of this thing is much lighter than a desktop computer of similar performance. But I think the Mac Studio is not, let's say, round enough. Unlike Windows machines, you can do almost anything with them. But for Mac, if you are slightly off the way that Apple wants us to take, it seems that it cannot perform as well as expected. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this video. If you don't like it or you have something to share, you can hit the dislike and make sure to leave a comment below. See you next time.